Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me, as always, is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
On March 10th, 12th, and 13th were the Permission to Dance Seoul concerts, and had the option to watch the live stream or watch this in the theater. I got a ticket to view the day one concert in the theater on March 12th, and I had a really good seat in the center. The theater was full, but nobody was next to me until the concert was just about to start, and then one person actually sat next to me. And so, you know that I'm not that social, but I was going to try to be social with other ARMY, but since no one was right near me, that made it kind of difficult. So I was like, okay, never mind. You know, it was a fun experience. I liked watching it in the theater. It's, of course, very different than being there in person at a concert. You know, this is just, it's like you're watching a movie. You're just watching it unfold, and it wasn't even live. So it's also not like, you don't have that feeling like, oh, this is happening right now. The other thing is, you know, I expected it to be a little more rowdy, with like a lot of like fans yelling and cheering and stuff like that. But in the theater I was in, it was only a few people were kind of yelling out. But, you know, people were singing along to the songs. I heard.
Oh, what did they yell out? Did they yell out J-Hope?
Yeah, there was a lot of that happening. Like, if, you know, the idol, the person they liked was on screen. It was like J-Hope or Suga.
Even though they obviously cannot hear it.
Yeah, I was like, they can't hear you. Right. It's not like you're at the concert.
Right.
But yeah, they would scream out if they saw the person they liked. The theater I was at, it seemed to be, like a lot of Suga fans.
Interesting.
The theater I was in was very quiet compared to.
Well, here's the thing about
ones
theaters.
I've seen.
They have less seats than they used to.
Yeah, it seemed like
now they have these big fancy seats.
It was like a small theater, but I think they're all that size.
I don't think it's a small theater. I think the seats got bigger.
Like, it's as wide as the screen is. Like, that's it.
Oh, no, yeah, that's small. Because there's some theaters where it's much wider than the screen.
Yeah, there's like more than 2 rows.
Like, I've been to like San Francisco Metreon. We've both been there, and they have theaters that are much wider than the screen.
Yeah, it's like it just expands outwards.
Right. I think that it makes more sense now because you can't really pack a theater. There's few people that want to go. You just have to charge more, but they give you a bigger seat. That's the event. That's the thing. I used to go to movies a lot, but when I went, the seats were all crammed together. Now it seems like every single theater they have these big comfy seats that they're like recliners. That's foreign to me. I didn't know about theaters where, you know, you have a recliner. Yeah,
we should mention Morgan and I have not been to a theater in many years. Yeah, like the mid 2010s maybe. Yeah. And now it's very different. Like, everybody has a really comfy seat.
Yeah, everybody has a recliner, so there's fewer people in there.
And it's assigned seats. Like, that's a new thing. I don't know when that started, but that's different now.
There's no free-for-all for seats, you know. So there's just going to be fewer people in there. But I'm glad to hear that some of them are still yelling.
It was pretty funny, actually. Yeah. Like, the couple of times when people did yell out, it was like someone, like Jin was shown on the screen, on the big screen, and someone was like, "My baby daddy." Yeah. And like people would laugh like every time like someone would yell.
That's good.
Stuff like that.
That's the thing you miss when you're watching it streaming from home. You don't get that crowd.
I thought that was hilarious. Like, I love when ARMY gets excited and they say funny stuff. And then there was someone a couple rows behind me who was like a very vocal person. They would like yell out, you know, every couple minutes. Right. So I think it's a fun experience seeing it in the theater. And I didn't make much noise. It just felt weird for me in the theater. It's like, okay, someone's right next to me. I don't really want to be loud or anything. So I didn't say very much, but I would sing along to some of the songs too, just like the other people. I had my ARMY bomb with me too, because, you know, people were like, okay, make sure you bring it because, you know, it'll be just like in the concert. And okay, on that point, it wasn't really like being at the concert because it's dark in the theater, and if I were to turn on my ARMY bomb, it would be like this bright light and would get like too much attention. So I was like, okay, I'm not really going to turn it on. I just did it at certain times, like when people wouldn't be looking at the screen, like when they left the stage, and it was like, oh, this is the time when they're, pretending they're gonna wait and come out of the encore. There's another time where it was like ARMY sing along, and like you clap along at certain times, and it was like, okay, at that point there's nothing really to look at on the screen, so I can bring out the ARMY bomb then. So I didn't want to ruin someone else's time and have it like be too noticeable. In watching this concert, you could see how they had it all set up in South Korea, and it was very different from the LA concerts. And so I did want to point out some of the differences there. Number one, we know that the fans there couldn't stand up, they couldn't cheer along, they couldn't do fan chants or anything like that. So that part of it was very odd. Like, they couldn't react to whatever BTS was doing. They just had to use their clappers, and that was very noticeable. And I even remember Jungkook had a V Live after, and some of the others mentioned it also in another V Live, that it did feel weird for them as artists, as we predicted it would be. Like, the audience not reacting to them, and you couldn't even see their faces, is very tough for artists to see, because, like, okay, nobody's reacting back, so of course that's going to be, they have to like give it their all, but then they don't get anything back almost. So that was noticeable in the theater, because it's like, okay, there's barely anything going on in audience wise, but when they did react, you could hear the sound of the clappers going, and it's kind of a weird sound. It's like clickety clack sound. It's kind of like, it sounds like a typewriter sound. Like, if you ever heard of like an old school typewriter, like when you're constantly clicking the keys, that's what it sounded like, a very kind of artificial sound. So I think that was probably, it made it tough for the artists. So hopefully, I mean, South Korea, you guys really need to like move on with these laws. There's like way too many restrictions. And I saw some vlogs on YouTube. There's people that attended the concert, and it just seemed very weird. It didn't feel like going to a concert. It's like an empty concert, because people would go, and only 15,000 people were there, so it felt like the stadium was pretty empty, and even waiting in lines and everything, I was like, okay, there's not that many people. Doesn't feel like a BTS concert. So I think you could really notice those differences even from the theater here in the U.S. And there were some differences in the concert that they did, because the LA concerts were back in November, and then this is now in March that they're performing in Seoul. They did change up a few things. They had some different outfits for the opening number, instead of just the all white outfits, if you remember, that they were wearing it On and Fire and Dope. They had kind of red with white. So they kind of look like race car drivers, like European Formula One drivers. But, they had the similar kind of outfits. But they looked pretty cool. And Jungkook, he still had that same, like, he has a very well-known outfit for those opening numbers. He had kind of like a Swiss cheese tank top is what I call it. But it was the same tank top, just in red. And so it was similar outfits. They just changed it up a little bit. One thing that I didn't like was it was a replay. So is not live, so they could have had subtitles on it. I don't know why they didn't, because I did not know what they were saying when they were just talking at random times. Like when they had comments, or they were just like in between songs, there was no subtitles. So it was like, what are they saying? Like, I don't know Korean. This is like not cool. And I remember I saw subtitles when they did the live stream, so I was like, okay, I thought they were going to have it when we were watching it in the theater, so I don't understand why that was the case. But I was like, okay, well, maybe they got the film footage for that, and it wasn't subtitled, so there's like maybe nothing could be done. But it was like, okay, I don't know what they're saying. It made their whole comments part not relevant to us, because like I didn't know what they were saying. So they had some different outfits, blue and gray. When they did that, they weren't singing towards the mirrors like what we saw in LA. Instead, they were just singing like normal, facing forward, but they had a reflective wall behind them instead, and they had some different outfits for that. They had like blue and white coats instead. And another thing was we could see the performance from the front. So like, of course, all the camera angles are going to be from the front because that's what they filmed. So I could finally see what the Black Swan performance was supposed to look like because our seats, they were from the side. So we just kind of could see, okay, what was on the big screen and then what they were doing on the center stage, but we were seeing it from the side. So it was cool to see, oh, well, this is what it was supposed to look like. So I thought that was really cool. And that's a really well-staged performance for Black Swan, which I knew it was. I mean, you could tell from the side, but at least now when I watched it in the theater, it was like watching it from the front. The other thing is like the weather seemed really bad in Korea because it started raining at different times in the concert. So it seemed like it was very unsafe for them because they were slipping. I saw Jimin fell down one time, Suga fell down one time, and I was like, okay, they really need people squeegeeing the rain off the stage in between songs. Like I've seen that in sporting events. Like they have people that do that, but they didn't do that at this concert. So I think it just like a water was collecting on the stage, and I thought that was really a hazard. And so they should really be careful because you cannot have anyone in BTS getting hurt. Like they fell down a couple times, and I was like, oh my god. Like okay, at worst, hopefully it's just a bruise and that's it. But you never know, like if you fall hard, like you might like crack a tailbone or something. And they really need to be careful for that because they've got the Vegas concerts to do. We can't have anybody being hurt or anything happening to them. And
well, they didn't get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, nobody got hurt from that, but they could have done more to just kind of like keep the stage dry. I mean, I know it was raining, but you could go like in between, have staff like clear it out, get all the water off there. It would have just added a little bit more time to the concert, but I mean, I think for safety reasons they could have done that. Mostly the concert was pretty much the same set list. They did the same order of things. They, Life Goes On, Dynamite, Butter, Telepathy. They had the same platforms going around during that part, during the Telepathy. So that part was the same. And the other part was where they left and after Idol. You know how they go off stage and then they wait before they come back? Instead of just like, oh, nothing's going on. They had the people in the stadium clap along to Young Forever. And then, you're supposed to clap at certain times in the song. And it's just, instead of like when in LA, we were just like waiting for 10 minutes. The thing is like, okay, I don't like clapping to a song. It was like a lot of work, like to try to follow along with that and then clap at certain times. It's like, okay, this isn't that fun. I'd rather just sit and wait for them to come back out. So, but that's fine. I guess, they wanted to give the people in Seoul something to do. So they were like, okay, you can clap along at these points in the song. And like, you're supposed to clap when it has the heart on the screen on these lyrics. So I didn't think that added much to it. Yeah, so I think that's the main difference. Is like there was a lot of rain at their concert, and I think that they could feel like the audience wasn't reacting that much, and that's kind of what they said in the V-Lives afterwards. So I think it's kind of frustrating. So I hope South Korea changes that for next time someone has concerts in Seoul. And the other thing is I don't like the layout of that stadium. I think it's actually way too big because we were seeing it on screen, and if you look at the floor, it's a very large area. So there had some seats there, and then the people that were in what would be the 100s, like where it starts to be elevated, that was like very far away. In the Olympic Stadium, it's not very good seats at that point because there's a whole like track around it because it was for the Olympics. So I don't think it's a very good place for a concert. It's kind of like too wide, and like the 100s, 200s, 300s, they're very far away. So I think that's why I remember them saying like SoFi Stadium was like the perfect size of a stadium because it starts elevating right outside of the football lines. So I think that's perfect. That's right. You don't want too much floor because it's too flat and people can't really see because people are going to be standing up. So I think I could see that in the Korea Stadium. And I was also really impressed with Jimin because remember he had just gotten surgery a couple weeks ago for his appendix being removed. So the fact that he could perform at 100%, like I didn't even notice like if he was in pain or anything like that. It didn't look like it. He looked like it was just a normal day. So I was really impressed by that. And he actually fell down at one point. So that happened in, I think it was in Black Swan that happened. So hopefully he's fine. I didn't hear anything about it afterwards. So I think it's just they kind of slipped because of the wetness on stage, and I think they are doing fine. Although I did see I think it was yesterday, like Jin hurt his finger somehow and had to have surgery on it, and so hopefully that doesn't interfere with anything upcoming, like with the biggest concerts. Because there are times where you have to use your hand, like they're doing things on the floor.
They'll be fine.
You got to like support yourself.
They'll be fine.
Okay, yeah. I mean, hopefully this was just a thing where it's like,
unless something was actually broken, they'll be fine.
It didn't seem like anything was broken. It was like he had a tendon surgery, but I don't know how that would happen just in a course of.
Did he have surgery?
Yeah, they said he got
what surgery did he get?
Hand surgery on Friday. So whatever happened with his tendon,
it should be okay.
I mean, it could be something where it's like, he just landed on his hand and like a finger went too far back or something. Yeah. That could easily happen. As long as that doesn't affect anything, it shouldn't. He should be fine for the Vegas concerts. I did want to comment on the pricing of it because going to see this in the theater, I was expecting, it's going to cost similar to a movie ticket. And we had just seen The Batman recently, which is a really good movie, by the way, if you want to see it. And it cost, what was it, $15?
Yeah, $15.
Per person. And, that's a Hollywood production. It cost $200 million or whatever to make that movie. But then buying the ticket to watch BTS in the theater, why did it cost $35? It just seems like such a big difference. I was expecting it to be like $20. And I know it's a concert and it's like a special event, but it just seemed like a bit much,
Well, they only show it once, as opposed to movies that are shown multiple weekends, right?
Right, and that's how they make their money back, is like they show it multiple times.
Right, and again, this is just a free market. They'll charge what they think the market will bear. Mm-hmm. So what did the live stream cost, like 45?
Yeah.
Or 35, 40?
It was like more than the ticket in the theater, I think.
If they're getting people to pay for the live stream, you got to figure the better experience in the theater would net, $35. So I think that's how they came to that.
Yeah, and you're right. It is playing only one time, so that makes it more like, it's a special event kind of a thing.
And the market will bear it.
Yeah.
Because you all want to pay it.
And I did pay it, so it's like clearly I didn't find it that objectionable. I don't know if that was a HYBE decision or if the movie theaters were like, okay, this is the price, this is the going rate for special event kind of movies, and we don't want to go below that. But yeah, I just thought it was like a little much, but obviously I didn't hate the price since I ended up paying it. So, and it turns out that this event went really well for BTS, which I'm glad to hear. It got a box office gross of $32.6 million. And this is the first live worldwide cinema broadcast of a concert from South Korea presented by HYBE and Trafalgar. So clearly this went really well for HYBE because, this is playing in over 3,700 theaters in 75 countries for one day. So they did really well to make the $32.6 million. So I'm glad. I'm glad that this worked out well for HYBE and BTS, and I was part of it, and I did have a lot of fun. So it was a good experience. Mm-hmm. So related to the Permission to Dance Seoul concerts, on March 12th, NBC interviewed fans who were able to go to the second day of concerts in Seoul, and then a correspondent reported that there was a husband who was competing with his wife trying to get a ticket It's like a lottery basically. You can't just.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Ticketmaster or anything. It's just very random. And I actually watched a video on YouTube about how this works, how they did it. It's very different from Ticketmaster. It tells you like where you are in line. It's like 200,000. You're this person in line, and it's just random, like how fast it moves. So this guy got a ticket, and he went to the concert, and his wife was trying to get a ticket, but she didn't get a ticket.
Oh wow.
And everybody was just laughing because this guy, he was like, oh, well, that's how it works. I got the ticket and my wife didn't. You have to also look at that the way they do it, you can't transfer the ticket. So even if he got a ticket, he couldn't have just like given it to his wife, even if he was trying to be a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
So don't trash this guy too much because there was like nothing he could do. They were just... The way they do it in Korea, I think is kind of mean. It's like, okay, every man for himself. And like, you can't even get 2 tickets together. It's like...
Why can't you... Here, you can always get 2. Let's assume you're going to buy 2.
Yeah, like why would anyone want to go by themselves? I think Korea should have allowed it to... You could select to get 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's how they did it. It was just so restricted. And, both the husband and wife were the BTS fans, and they were both trying to get a ticket. Only the husband got one, so only he went. You can't transfer it, so that's all you could do. And it was just funny that how matter of fact he was. It was like, yep, that's just how it went. Oh well.
Yep. Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it's just a funny story, but I think it's unfair that you're putting people in a position like that. It's almost like Squid Game. It's like, remember that one part where, okay,
no, it's not Squid Game. You don't die.
No, but it's like a spoiler. The marble game where it was like the husband and the wife, they were a team, but like they were like
they had to go against each other.
Yeah, so it was like the husband killed the wife. If you haven't watched it, in that one,
he later killed himself though.
These were minor characters though, so it's not really a spoiler, but it is.
But who cares?
It was like that. It was like, oh, you had to kill your wife to get to the next stage. Korea's making it almost like Squid Game and these BTS tickets.
Well, he didn't have to. They could just not be in debt.
Yeah, that's true. They could have just like left. I think.
Well, or just not be in debt. However they got in their debt.
That's true. Like Squid Game, like
they must have been in like serious debt.
You wouldn't even be there if you didn't have all this debt, and it's on both people in the marriage. And you should definitely not go to Squid Game with a family member. I would recommend against that.
Yeah, go alone.
If that ever comes up in your life, do not go to Squid Game with like your loving family member.
Just go alone. You have to go.
Because you never know. You're going to have to betray somebody. And
well, there's only one winner.
Yeah.
Right? There's only one winner.
Now that they know that.
Well, I don't know if they know, but...
No, what was stupid is that... Remember... Okay, this is a spoiler, so if you haven't watched Squid Game, don't listen for a few minutes. But after the first episode, they know what it's like.
And they went back.
Yeah.
So if you go back, then you really know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, people died.
Like, that husband and wife had the choice to not come back, but they did, so...
Don't go back to this place where people die.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. But, it's just a show. But, they made it like that.
If you're in debt, just emigrate to the United States and declare bankruptcy.
Oh, that's true. That would invalidate whatever you have going on in South Korea, right?
Yeah.
That's true. If you have... a ton of debt.
Most countries have bankruptcy laws.
Go to another country.
They don't imprison you forever.
There's nothing they can do to get you. That's true. If you ever...
That's the one thing that totally negates all of Squid Game. Like, why are you so desperate? Just declare bankruptcy.
That's true.
Right?
It shouldn't be that dire. And even in the U.S., if you have to declare bankruptcy, that's not even like... that bad, like
your life just sucks for 10 years.
Your life can start over in a couple of years, and
not a couple, 5 to 10.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go through a bunch of stuff, but you can resume your life after a little while, like normal, and it doesn't have to be a dire situation where you're playing with your life on the line, like Squid Game. But I'm sure that's just fictional and it's just like just for show, because people don't really do that. A lot of people have tons of debt and then they are continuing on with their lives just fine. So, but yeah, this was a funny story. Just the guy that was just like, yeah, I got the ticket and I went to the BTS concert by myself, and oh well for my wife. But I also did see another story on Twitter, like the wife was the one who got the ticket and went, and then the husband just watched it on the live stream. So I guess they don't care in Korea about like dividing families of watching BTS concerts.
No, apparently not.
But hopefully they will lift the COVID restrictions soon, because I think the whole cause of this is the fact that they could only allow 15,000 people in the stadium versus what could have been like 75,000. So I think that they need to change that, because it's okay. COVID is not that dire anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe Korea, they're being more strict about it still, but I think the next time that they have some big concerts, they should really change these laws. Presidential elections were held in South Korea on March 9th, 2022, and we probably heard a little bit about this if you're following any of K-pop, but under their constitution, their presidents can only serve a 5-year term, one term. So the last guy, who was President Moon, that we are all familiar with because, you know, he's worked with BTS a lot, he's recognized them, gone to the UN with them. He is not eligible to run in this election, and so his term is ending pretty soon, and they had an election to elect the next person, and it turns out that Yoon Suk-yeol of the People Power Party won the election, defeating Lee Jae-myung of the Democratic Party. And apparently this was a very close election that Yoon Suk-yeol barely won with the most overall votes, and he won in key areas of Seoul but lost in Gyeonggi and Incheon, which I don't know, I guess those are the more like democratic areas of South Korea, I'm assuming.
No, that's not correct.
Okay. Well, how come he lost in those areas, you think?
Well, he lost in key areas of Seoul, right? Right?
Yeah, he won the most in key areas of Seoul.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just projecting like American standards of politics. Because he's a conservative.
Seoul is like the rich area, right? I would say.
But it's the most urban area, so it tend to be more liberal.
Oh, okay.
And he's the Conservative Party member.
Right.
So his stronghold will be everywhere except like the most urban areas. Even though it's different in Korea because so many people live in the one urban area.
Yeah, like a lot of people are in Seoul.
Yeah, it's like in America, a lot of people live in New York and LA, but not a majority of people.
Right.
But I think a majority of people in Korea, they really do live in or around Seoul, right?
Right. Yeah, so the issues in this election, it looked like, was economic inequality, COVID-19 pandemic recovery, anti-feminist sentiment, and housing issues were the issues. And I guess a lot of people, I mean, it was a very close election, so the conservative guy barely won anyway, but a lot of people thought that the feminist issues were going to help the Democratic guy win, and I guess that didn't happen, or it was like too close.
Why?
Whatever.
Who's a lot of people?
Well, the people that I saw commenting.
Do you mean Americans on Twitter?
K-pop fans or Americans?
K-pop fans in America, in North America on Twitter. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Do they vote in South Korean elections?
No, and that's what I was going to say, is like you have to respect what people voted for, because
like, do you know anything about South Korean elections?
The people there are the ones that are in tune with what's important at South Korea. I mean, even though it was close, it was like, okay, clearly they felt like the conservative guy had more to offer, and it wasn't about feminists or anti-feminists. Like some people made it seem like, oh, that's the only issue that anyone's talking about. It's like, that is not the only issue. A lot of people are angry about COVID restrictions, just in any country.
Yeah, I would say it's so reductionist to just say that's the only issue. I don't know what all the issues are. I know there's like really a lot of dissatisfaction with how like difficult it is to, get ahead in South Korea, just like the upward mobility.
Yeah.
And don't trust me because I don't know all the issues, but wealth inequality, class stratifications, those are some things that I've heard about that are important to South Koreans. How hard it is for young people to sort of get a start in life. I know that these are roughly some issues that people care about, but I don't know what people really care about. And I also don't know what, majority of people cared about in this election. I imagine it's not just one issue like anti-feminism. And also, when you say anti-feminism, like the words mean different things to different people. Like you may if you live in North America, you may have a different idea of what that even means than what the South Koreans think it means.
Yeah.
So who was elected, and how will this impact BTS? I would say that probably isn't going to have a huge impact. If it has any impact, it unfortunately may not be positive, because just going off the top of my head, generally conservatives are very pro-military.
Yeah.
So he may not be as lenient as far as military exemptions.
That's what I was thinking, is it might affect their enlistment, because he might not be that open to,
right,
them being huge celebrities and K-pop idols and getting an exemption. He might not be for that, although, it's not going to be 100% his decision or anything, but I know like a conservative is going to be more straightforward on that. And he even said he was going to have a more tough stance on China and closer relations with the U.S. And we know President Moon he was like more working with the UN and like the world governments on that. So that's kind of the opposite. So this new president might be more like, yeah, let's work on the South Korean military, and therefore, getting everybody to enlist and no exemptions, and be tougher on China and other threats in the country. And this may not be a good thing for BTS, but I mean, you never know. He might also see like, okay, their BTS is very valuable for the country, so maybe we should look at that and leverage them, just like President Moon was doing. Maybe it's not even like a democratic conservative thing. He might see their value as well. But yeah, this could mean a change for how BTS has been dealt with, because we remember like President Moon, he was like a huge fan of BTS, and he used them like any opportunity he could. Like he had them speak at the UN, and he had them representing Korea in multiple places, and he gave them the special passports and all that. So it might be that this new president doesn't do all that and just has his own plan, but I don't really know, because I don't know the guy that well. But I think we should watch out for that, because this could definitely affect what BTS is doing in the next year or two. I don't know when the term starts, but it could be a different atmosphere for them as far as like serving in the military and how that goes, because especially if he's going to be tough on China, then that means like more South Korean military stuff happening, like more exercises or whatnot.
So I don't think it's going to mean much, but if it does mean something, it's probably not great. But you don't know. Maybe he's a huge BTS fan.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully he can see their value and doesn't think that they necessarily have to enlist as long as the average person has to, just to like let people know it could affect what BTS does going forward. So just to keep an eye on that. And the election of the new guy, he said that one of the things he's going to do is implement the changes with the age calculation method. And as you all know, there's your age, which everybody knows their age. It's like, okay, the year you're born and then how many years happened since then. But in Korea, they have some other system where it's like, I can't even explain it, but it's like you add a year basically to
don't even try
what your age is. And it's like so confusing for everybody. And one of his planks to his campaign was like, he's going to stop using that or use something that's go back to like what everybody uses globally, so that it makes more sense, because I think it's just so confusing when you
I agree with that.
Korean
Let's
age.
Just do the regular when you're born plus months.
I think that's just logical. It's just like, why isn't everybody doing that? I didn't even know that. Like Korean age, it's like it doesn't even make sense to me, but Maybe they had a reason for it at some point, but now I don't think, like in the global world, it doesn't make much sense to keep going with that. And all it does is add a year. You're either the same age or plus 1 year, so I don't think there's even a point really. Like if there was some very different way of calculating it, and it was like, okay, instead of being 25, you're actually 42 or something. Like if there was some different way of calculating it where it's like a way different number, then I could see the point. But it didn't do that. All it did was you're either the same age or you add a year. So I didn't think there was any point to that. And so I think he said he was going to unify with the legal age being, the year you're born plus however many years that is, and to make it more in line with all the other countries, which I agree with that. So I think that's it's a logical thing. So Korea isn't different than other countries in that regard. Another thing that was happening in this election was that netizens were trying to figure out who their favorite idols voted for. And, celebrities, they go vote, they, go in person, Korea's smart. They have people voting in person. So, that reduces how much fraud there can be. So I think that's pretty smart. But fans were trying to figure out, okay, my idol was wearing this color that day, or they posted on Instagram and they were wearing this color, or they had a peace sign. And that means one or two, it indicates which party you voted for. So if you have a peace sign, that's means two. So I think this is really silly, and trying to figure out what people voted for. I don't think anyone should try to do that, because that's private. That's why we have a secret vote, is so people aren't trying to figure that out. And I don't think any idols are trying to give clues either. If they wore a color that day, then that's the color they wore. It's not they were trying to say, oh, I voted for this party and not the other party. Because I think this is just a way to drum up hate towards certain idols, and that isn't the intention. I think almost all idols are trying to not come across political and not say what side they're on. So if you're trying to apply that, they're trying to say which side they're on, then you're probably not correct. They're not trying to give any clues to that. I think idols are definitely trying to stay neutral, and I think we should respect that, because that's how they want it to be. And it's oh, okay, you don't realize how much better it is to not know who your idols are voting for. Because if you're in America and then you see, everybody says who they are voting for, and it's very annoying, especially if you don't agree with that person. And it's okay, well, now I'm hearing that, and I don't agree with them on this issue clearly, but it's they said it, so I can't unhear it. But It's so much better when you don't know. And I wish people would value that more with their K-pop idols, because nobody's saying anything, but then fans are trying to figure out, oh, this person voted for this because they did this, they wore this outfit on that day, on election day. So,
well, I mean, like you said, well, first of all, it's not you don't have a right to know. I don't think that anybody saying they have a right to know. No. I mean, if you read on Reddit or Twitter or whatever, and people seem to think that they sort of do have a right to know. No, you don't have a right to know. People, that's part of a democracy. Most democracies, you have a right to keep it secret. Secret ballot is a very important part of a democracy.
Yeah.
But strangely, I think a lot of people want to know. And on the one hand, I can see that desire, because you think, well, I don't want to support somebody who agrees with X, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, I can see that. Okay, fine. If you think that X is just so abhorrent, if they voted for this person, they think that, just let's just say what it is. There's most people on social media in the North America are on the left, so they'll view anybody who votes for somebody who's conservative as not respecting the existence of LGBT or something, whatever, things that you just can't abide by, right? So I can understand if you don't want to support a person who has some belief that's just so anathema to your own personal ideology and principles. But at the same time, you will never know for sure So B, just don't bother. Just let it be a secret, right? It's much better for you if you just don't think about it very much.
Yeah.
Because you will never know. For one, all this other stuff is just guesswork, and number two, it will just make you super unhappy to even think about it. It won't make your life any better. It won't make you any happier, will it? Just don't think about it.
Yeah, and I mean, these are your idols, so to expect them to have the exact same point of view as you on politics or world issues.
Here's the reality. Half of them don't.
Yeah.
If you want to guess, if you want to think, well, I hope they all do. They don't. They don't all agree with you. Roughly half of them just disagree with you. And you just have to accept that. And also, you don't know which half. And you also have to accept that. And you might be better off just reaching a maturity level to accept that.
Yeah, that it doesn't matter.
I consume the art. I consume the products of a lot of people that I know I disagree with politically. But I just separate these things. I just think, well, they produce good stuff that I want to consume.
Yeah, I enjoy their art.
Yeah, and I don't agree with them politically. But you know what? I have friends to this day that I don't agree with politically. Do I cut them off? No. Now, I understand that not everybody's like that. Some people actually do cut off their friends that they don't agree with politically. Personally, I find that to be self-defeating and sad. But
it's kind of extreme. But
then again, it's your life. You run your own life the way you want to run it, right?
Yeah.
But if that's the way if you can possibly find it within your heart to just be more accepting of your friends, like, okay, this is my friend. Maybe we don't agree on everything. That's fine. Just try to find that same sort of acceptance with the people who produce the products you consume, which I think is a smaller bar to cross, right? Then you don't even have to talk to these people.
Yeah.
Do you have to talk to these idols? No, you just have to listen to their stuff. So it's fine if you're a fan of theirs and they don't agree with you politically. What impact does it have on your life?
Yeah. Let's use music to bring people together and not divide people. Like, if you can get along with other people that voted differently with you being fans of the same idols, like, why don't we
you don't even have to you don't even have to get together with people. You just have to close your eyes and just ignore it. That's not even asking for some sort of world peace moment or anything like that. I'm not even saying you should let it bring you closer to people who disagree with you. I'm just saying, just close your eyes and enjoy whatever product you enjoy.
Yeah.
And just don't think about, well, does this person agree with me politically? Oh, great. Yes. 5 out of 7 BTS members agree with me politically. Well, what about the fact that the 2 disagree with you? It's like, no, well, I think all 7 agree with me. Are you sure about that? Why would all 7 people? Like, chances are, whatever politics is going on in Korea, their BTS themselves probably split down the middle. Am I right? Just chances.
Yeah.
I mean, just throwing statistics out there, probably half, right?
Yeah.
The election was half, so why can we not assume that
close.
Probably about half of BTS members feel one way and the other half feel another way? Now, what are you going to do? Not be a fan? Some of them agree with you. Oh, but some of them don't.
Well, I think the average K-pop fan leans to the left, and I don't think that's a crazy assumption or anything.
In North America.
Yeah. But they assume that all the K-pop
they want to assume.
idols
they want
agree
to
with
assume.
them
They
on
want
things.
to assume. They want to assume, and I understand that too. And you know what? If that helps you sleep at night, then just go ahead and keep on assuming that. Don't even think about the fact that, probably you're wrong.
Fine. The reality is Korea is a very conservative country. It might be half or more than half of BTS voted for the conservative guy. Like, who knows? Like, we don't know.
You just don't know, right? They didn't say, and you don't know. Chances are it's about half, right? Just going off strict percentages of the broad population. Then what are you going to do? Are you going to guess which ones did and which ones didn't? And this is way too much energy for you. And it's not. Well, what is the benefit?
That's not productive. Like, just enjoy the music,
right? And
just appreciate people. And different people have different points of view. You have to respect that. And it's like, okay, just because you voted one way doesn't mean you hate XYZ issues that you care about. That doesn't mean that.
Also, maybe have some acknowledgement that, especially if you're a North American fan, you don't really know that much about Korean politics.
From what I read, it's right? People,
so you don't really even know that much about it.
They act like...
You're just projecting your own sort of left-right dichotomy and just placing that upon Korea. But that's not a perfect comparison.
Yeah. I mean, they acted like the whole thing was about, are you anti-women or for feminists, and there's no way that the Korean election was about that, because every election everywhere is always about economy or what is currently happening in the world.
It's
like
about multiple
COVID
things, always.
Yeah, big things. And like it's not about, oh, I really want to repress women, so I'm going to vote for this party. Like people don't vote like that. It's about quality of life and COVID, and I saw that a lot of it was about like real estate reform. I guess a lot of people feel like housing is out of control in Korea and thought that the incumbent party didn't do anything about that, and so that's why they voted for the other party. So it's not about like, oh, let's repress women and I'm totally going to vote for that. That's not how people vote. There's many things going on.
And even if it was, you're just a fan from North America. It's not your country. You don't know in intimate detail what all the issues are. And that's not to say that you have to blindly consume. Hey, if you don't want to consume their stuff because you are guessing based on some colors people showed, right, that they voted the wrong way or the right way. I don't know. That's on you. Go ahead. But what I'm trying to say is that you're not making your life any better. Your life is functionally worse for caring this much about this thing that you're not even sure about. There's no need to go looking for negativity where none was presented to you, right?
Yeah.
If it was pushed in your face, that would be one thing, but this is a matter of you going and looking for it.
Yeah, no one even said. It's like, just give them the benefit of the doubt. Feel like that they voted based on in good faith. They're trying to do what's best for Korea. Just assume that, like idols aren't stupid. They are paying attention to things.
Maybe they didn't even vote. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they didn't even vote. So just respect how the voters of Korea voted. They did it for a reason. That's what they wanted. The Korean Intellectual Property Office and the Patent and Trademark Office are moving to protect K-pop content. The office expects an increase in the online distribution of counterfeit goods that are rising in the popularity of K-pop, such as BTS, Blackpink, and more. And the office announced on March 7th that it would start cracking down on these fake goods. The office, in partnership with BTS's agency, HYBE, will start cracking down on and eradicating counterfeit goods related to goods at BTS's concert that will be taking place this month. So I brought up this as a story because I was like, wow, Korea, they're actually going to do something about fake merch that's online or in person at concerts. It's like, okay, is that really that serious? Like, wow, okay.
If there's no fake merch, what merch will there be though?
I know. It's like, what's the big deal about fake merch? Like, who cares? But
I'll be honest with you, fake merch is often better than real merch.
Like, if you've ever seen like the Sugar 93 or like,
well, I mean, even when I was looking
jerseys,
at merch for BTS, like when you go on Amazon, you search BTS, most of it's fake merch, right?
There's tons of it on Amazon.
But it's better. I've gone to the real site, Weverse, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, merch sucks. It just says like the name of the album or the tour or something. I'm like, what is this? But the fake merch has pictures of your favorite BTS members, and it's colorful. It's in the BTS colors. It's recognizable.
A lot of the fan merch.
I don't understand why it's worse. It's better.
Yeah, a lot of the fan merch is very creative. It's very different. It's like, oh, this is quality stuff. I
don't know if it's quality, but it looks better.
It's like they had good ideas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it on Etsy and Amazon. Even though Amazon supposedly they're like, if you have a merch by Amazon account, which I have, they're supposed to check for that, but there's ways around it. Like if you don't use in your keywords BTS or the trademark words or whatever, like there's ways to get your stuff onto the site and just avoid the words. But at the same time, it's like, okay, it's not like those people are making millions of dollars or anything. It's like, is it really that serious to crack down on them? And I'm just really surprised that HYBE is a part of that. Like they teamed up with the government to do this. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
I mean, overall, combined, yes, it could take a lot of revenue from you. So I don't blame them. If If they want to crack down on it, I mean, it is technically illegal, so
Yeah.
it's fine for them to want to crack down on it. But here's my problem. Why does the official merch not meet the standards and demand of the customers? Like, customers want what they see when they go to the illegal merch. They want to see faces on stuff and whatever. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It just seems to be the unauthorized stuff is a lot better, just from what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. And that's not the way it is for all things, by the way. Like, if you are a fan of NFL football or something, the official merchandise, it's great. I mean, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of different types of it. You'll find what you want.
So fans will want to get the official.
Yeah. I mean, it may cost more, but the stuff is good and it meets what people want to see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But BTS doesn't seem to put out what people want. So if you're not going to put out what people want, then why are you this uptight about, unauthorized stuff filling that demand?
Yeah. I think they should be okay with it and just let people.
No, I don't think they should be okay with it.
Stuff out there.
I don't think they should be okay with it. They can go ahead and protect their intellectual property rights, but why are they not putting out better stuff?
Right.
You can even just copy some of this stuff that's being put out. Why don't you just copy it?
Yeah, that's what they should do. Because a lot of what I see that people get is the jerseys that has the name and then the year that they're
right,
born.
and that's unauthorized stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what's stopping
have that.
Hybe from just making that?
Hybe should have the Sugar 93
Well, yeah.
shirts.
So I don't understand. Why don't they just fill the demand that's there?
Yeah, they're just kind of sticking to their designs, which aren't as good and are more expensive, and they're just sticking to that. But I was just struck by the fact that Hybe is working so closely with the government. It just seems like, okay, is this like a lobbyist thing? Like they paid money
Probably,
and they got influence to make this, a law, and like, okay, we'll crack down on the unauthorized merch. But okay, I totally agree. Like that, yeah, that's within their right. It's like people violating their copyright, but it's like, okay, that's kind of harsh. Because why don't you just put out good merch and then no one would want to get the unauthorized merch, like you said.
Well, they might want to still because it's cheaper, but it's a really bad situation because the official merch is just so boring and
it is pretty basic,
and it doesn't capture, I think, what the demand is for. So,
and fans can be like so creative. Like I've seen things on Etsy and eBay, like things that are just so creative that people put together, and okay, yeah, that's unofficial, but still it's like someone put a lot of effort into making that, and it's very creative and nice, and people want to pay money for that. So I don't see what's wrong with that. I mean, it's wrong technically as far as violating a copyright, but any record label has the discretion to be really harsh on unauthorized merch. Like they could go after everybody if they wanted to, or they could like not go after everybody that hard, and that's an issue that comes up in the Taylor Swift area, because there's a couple of times where like her company has gone after people on Etsy, and it's like, okay, wow, why are you being so hardcore? It's like, it's just someone who's like barely making any money. They sold some merch and that's it. Like you don't have to put someone out of business.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is that really necessary? And I guess that's the line that Hybe is walking, is like, okay, how harsh do you want to be on these people that are just fans, that they just want to create some, with their art skills, create some like nice merch for people? Do you want to shut them down totally? Is that really necessary? So yeah, I mean that's something that every big company, record company, goes through, or anyone who has copyrights. But I feel like it would be better if they weren't as tough on people, because it's just, if the person's not making that much money to begin with, it's just an Etsy account, and I mean, they don't know, Hybe doesn't know how much money they're making, but anyone on Etsy is not making that much money. It's just, there's something they're doing out of passion, out of fun. So I don't think it's worth the trouble even to try to shut them down.
Yeah, Etsy doesn't scale, so you're probably not making much money. You
can just do it, make it like one
you
at
have
a
to
time.
You have to make all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So whatever.
But it does seem like HYBE has a lot of influence in the Korean government if they can have a whole department helping them try to track down this stuff. So that's why I thought this story was very interesting. It's kind of like Hollywood getting more laws passed to help them prevent piracy and, prevent other people from making money off Hollywood movies. So, I mean, it just tells you, HYBE and K-pop companies are pretty powerful.
Yeah, but they don't prevent it.
You can never prevent 100%.
You can never know, because I can go on torrent and download anything.
You can still pirate things as much as you want.
I won't say I do it or I don't do it, but it's very easy to do it. Let's just put it that way.
Right. So there's a story about a rookie male singer who's an idol.
From what group? Doesn't say?
It's anonymous. So on March 12th, a netizen made a post titled, "A rookie male singer who lets his fans know his girlfriend has their gifts." And this person said that this idol has debuted just 4 months ago. So many fans have gifted...
Well, is he even allowed to date? Dating ban? Hello?
He probably is banned.
Anonymous though, huh?
Yeah, it's just anonymous. It's like his fans have gifted him clothes.
It's in hyphen.
And but they were more than 4 months ago, I think. But the fans...
I don't know what it is. I can't even guess.
The fans sent him luxury clothes.
Oh, like what?
Well, it doesn't say, but...
How can his girlfriend wear his clothes?
Luxury clothes in hopes of him becoming a fashionable celebrity, and fans found out the presumed girlfriend posted pictures of herself wearing those clothes on her public Instagram. So this netizen claimed that both the label and the singer have not responded to fans asking about this situation, and the singer...
Hey, once you give a gift, then people can do what they want with the gift.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a gift, so you can't say what someone does with the gift. If they wear it, if they give it to their girlfriend, or if they give it away.
If you give me a gift, I might give it to somebody.
You might re-gift it.
I'm like, I didn't know you had a girlfriend. Like, am I not a human being? Can I not have a girlfriend? What the hell? What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's different with, like, K-pop stans, but...
Well, this is a situation of, like, the fans. Okay, you gave a gift. That doesn't mean you can decide everything that happens.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Once you give a gift, that's it. It's out of your,
Yeah, watch the episode on Seinfeld that was about gift giving. It's like, once you give a gift...
I don't remember that episode.
When Jerry Seinfeld gave Elaine a gift of money, and then he thought she went to the department store and spent money on just, like, frivolous things. And he was like... What are you spending money on? But it's like once
you give it, that's it. That's it.
You don't have a say once you give a gift.
I learned that long ago. That's why I don't give very many gifts.
But yeah, I just thought, okay, you're just a fan of an idol. You don't have control over their life. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they're going to re-gift it.
And you don't even know 100% that it was given to this girlfriend. The she had her own gift that was the same thing.
Well, what was the item? Whatever the gift they gave. How could a female use it?
I got the impression it was like clothing, but I could be wrong.
Well, how could a woman use clothing given to a man, though? That doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, if you give a gift, that's it, okay? Don't give gifts to your idols. I think that's the moral of the story.
Yeah, and the bigger groups have that banned, and I think that's a good rule, because otherwise fans, they behave like this. Like, they give gifts and then they think they're entitled to something.
Yeah, you're not entitled to anything. It's gone.
And you shouldn't even be giving gifts to idols anyway. It's not right. It's like they're doing their job. Don't give gifts and then you think you can control some part of their life.
Right.
As far as like them like wearing the gift or using the gift and like not giving it to their girlfriend or whatever. And I think maybe these fans just have the issue that the idol has a girlfriend. Like, maybe that it's not even about the gift. It's just about like, oh, why do you have a girlfriend? Like, I think that might be part of it. And, you know, I think it's good that the bigger groups, they have a ban on gifts, because fans can get very out of control with this. especially the fans from China. I don't know why they're crazier. I guess they just have more money, and they'd send gifts of extravagant gifts to idols, and they really shouldn't.
I bet it's Chinese. I don't mean to stereotype, but I bet it's Chinese.
It probably was. It's always like Chinese.
It's always
fans
Chinese fans throwing around way too much money, and they expect more than they fucking deserve.
Being crazy about it. Yeah.
I hate the stereotype. No, I don't actually. I'm just gonna do it freely. Probably Chinese fans throwing around money.
Yeah.
Expecting more than they deserve for whatever money they threw around. Feel entitled.
They do. I mean,
that's what I think it is. Okay? Just gonna say it.
I just think you should be glad. Just be glad they accepted your gift. They're using it. They're doing something with it, and that's it.
Well, yeah. By doing something, I mean giving it away to a girlfriend.
They're somebody was happy that they got that gift, and just be happy with that. And otherwise, don't give a gift. Like the whole point of it is you gave the gift, and you wanted that person to be happy getting it, and they were. So there you go. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can listen to BTS Happy Hour on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast platforms, or visit btshappyhour.com. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. New episodes weekly. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Weverse. If you've listened all the way to the end of the episode, you have proven yourself a true fan of the podcast. And in honor of the South Korean election, comment with a green checkbox emoji on our latest Instagram post. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.